Before we start, is there anything you don't want to talk about?
I won't.
No, I'm saying, is there anything you just say, don't ask me, don't ask, don't tell?
I'll say that's a government secret.
Okay.
I remember
what? I was going to ask you what's your earliest memory, but unless you have something else you want to say.
No, what?
I'm saying, what's your earliest memory?
I remember being little, and I don't know if it's an earliest memory or not, but Mama would sit me in the middle of her friend's bed, and they would be putting makeup on, polishing nails, but I must have been old enough to sit up.
Who were they?
Mama and her friend, but I'm not really sure who she was visiting. She had 2 or 3 good friends she would visit. This woman lived in an apartment somewhere because we were in a bedroom. Or it could have been a house, I guess. But they'd set me there so I couldn't get into anything or crawl around or fall or whatever. And I remember sitting up and watching them.
They were trying to tame you.
Probably. But that was an earliest memory, and I remember I would stay with Grandma a lot, and Mama took me on a train to Temple City, California.
This is a good story. Is this one of the earliest?
That I remember. I remember
yeah.
she was visiting her friend called Betty, and Betty had married a preacher, and that he had went out to California to be a preacher in Temple City, I suppose. But me and their little girl was about my size, and we were fighting over a bag of candy Mama bought me. And they told me I had to give her some of it too.
So that means you were being stingy.
Yeah, she was probably wanting to take it away from me. And I remember
The most
while we were
most sharing woman in the world. Turns out she started off not sharing a bag of candy.
So I remember while we were in California, I remember going to the beach because there was sand there, so I'm assuming we were at a beach. I can remember bits and pieces of that. I'm trying to think.
Is this when you took the train ride there?
Yes.
Okay, so you remember.
And I don't know how long we stayed, maybe a month, I don't know.
A month?
Well, she was visiting her friends. She wasn't going to live there forever.
Well, no, I'm saying.
I'm saying maybe. I don't know how long we stayed there.
I go visit Amy, but I don't stay a month. That's
but
what
if you drove 2,000 miles on a train, you might.
Maybe, yeah.
I remember once Mama was in they called them department stores. They didn't have malls.
We have department stores.
But this was, if you went shopping, you went to a department store.
Right.
And they had this bear. And apparently I could reach it because I sat down in the floor with it and cried. And Mama was embarrassed and bought it for me.
Was it a bunny?
No, it was a bear. She told me later that she was embarrassed and bought it for me. After I was bigger.
This is where it started. It's a wonder you didn't turn out to be a brat.
And
I'm just kidding.
also, while we were out there, I remember riding in one of those cars. I don't know what kind, but it had the front and the back and a big wide window thing in the back. Very back.
So you remember a car?
I don't know what kind it was. It was one of those, it'd be an old car now that you could lay in the back window that was wide enough for me to lay in.
Yeah.
Like a 2-seater, or 3 people could sit in it up here or something. Anyway, I remember getting to lay in the back window and thought that was really something. And I remember getting covered up in sand because I didn't really like it.
So, but there was a story about, I always thought it was a bunny. You told me a big bunny.
No, she bought me a bear, but she bought that on the way to come back home, apparently. Because I had it on the train, using it as a filler.
Right, that's the story.
And the train say it had a wreck, but one train side-swapped another train a little. It didn't really hurt anybody because I remember everybody had to get off the train and we were all standing out. And when they let us back on the train, I don't know how long we stayed off. My bunny was my bunny.
I'm telling you, you told me my whole life it was a bunny.
Well, whatever it was gone. And we looked around to see if anybody was carrying it.
The bunny thief.
But I remember when I was out there, their yard, me and their little girl would go out in the yard. Her name, I think, was Barbara. And we had a white picket fence. All houses just about had white picket fence back in those days. And apparently we were standing at the fence watching cars and people go by. I don't know if it was sidewalk or what, but some people came up. I don't know if it was men or women, and asked to see my mother. And she told me this story, that they wanted her to bring me in for a screen test to make a kiddie movie.
Right, and that's how they used to do it back then. They just sent scouts out to find.
They didn't ask for Barbara, and her daddy told my mother not to take me in for anything like that, that it was a sin. And since he was a preacher and her friend's husband, I guess she listened to him. And after she told me that as I was growing up, I always felt cheated that I could have been Elizabeth Taylor or somebody.
Yeah.
But I might have ended up like them, so maybe it was better that I didn't because I was a good.
Oh, you're a star. You're a star.
And anyway, that was my California story.